Hi, everybody. This is Mike and Brenda Baker. We are. And this is Mom's Mixed Family Blender. And I know it's been a really long time. We apologize. We've been working on a few little things and we're really excited, but we'll talk to you about that at the end. So, the title of this video is When Favoring Kids Hurts Your Marriage, Blended Family Dynamics Explained. Woohoo!
So, as she said, we haven't done these in a while. We do have some things in the works that we'll talk about at the end. Where have we been? Well, working like everybody else, you know. We have animals now, we have property, and we have grandkids, and so we had to take a step back. But now we are going to be stepping back in as we have watched this channel grow.
Thanks, guys.
Exponentially over the last couple of years. My channel's the views on my channel have grown. The subscribers on her channel have grown. My podcast that I don't do anymore has grown. And so we hear you, we see you. And so we're going to step back in because we think that blended families are growing at an exponential rate. Okay. It's no longer mostly regular families and then some blended families. I mean, we're talking a pretty equal mix now of the two. So with that, let's just jump right in. What's our first point? As we always do, 3 points. Our first point is, remember why you got married. Why'd you get married? So here you've got this, you know, one of you is favoring the kids, maybe the other's favoring the kids. And it is, you know, I mean, these are the blended family challenges. These are the things that really make you want to seek step parenting advice if you're a step parent, or just ask the hard questions, because this is an embarrassing. Let's be honest. I mean, when we were going through this, it was embarrassing to have to bring up, because there are things in marriage and blended family marriage that are just marriage. They're just rules for marriage, right? And then there is a tremendous, but the suitcases for marriage as compared to blended family marriage are not only, blended family marriage has not only more luggage, but bigger bags. Okay, so why did you get married? You didn't just get married to split a bank account. You didn't just get married for extra income. You didn't just get married because you didn't want to be lonely, although I have known some people that do, and that's a mistake. You got married because you fell in love, because you looked at somebody and said, I want to be with this person. And of course, you're always going to hear me say it, I want to be with this person the rest of my life. Now, granted, we're talking remarriage, so you already said that once. And so part of remembering why you got married also means remembering renewed commitment. Renewed commitment, which means this is not the old spouse, this is a new spouse, and she or he deserves exactly the same commitment you were willing to give before. Not that, well, if it doesn't work out, I guess, no, that is not marriage. If you're wondering to yourself, well, if it doesn't work out, you're in the wrong place. Okay? This is about making a marriage work. We're currently at 28 years married, still best friends, still pushing in pursuits of business and whatnot together, not separately, together. It matters.
Yeah, and so another thing that I think is really common when it comes to all of this is, you know, people want the companion. They want help with the kids, but do they actually want to become one? Two people becoming one flesh. Now, let's just say this right now. You're not going to like this channel if you don't want to hear about God, and you don't want to, you know, you don't want to hear about principles that are based on God's word. Do we do everything perfectly? Absolutely not. But what we can guarantee you is we know how to get you the success that we have had in marriage with all of the inner workings of a blended family, because we have the proof. We're almost 30 years married. This year, 2024, we're celebrating 29 years together, or married, but 30 years together, basically. And so we know what we're doing. And we've also, on top of that, we have helped a lot of people with their marriages. And so we have a lot to say about all of this. Anyways, getting back to the point, you know, there is a reason that you got married. Did you forget? Did you forget why you guys are even together? are the kids the primary focus in your life? If so, we can tell you, correct me if you don't agree, we can tell you for sure that it is an absolute disaster anytime people are more interested in the kids than they are in their marriage.
You know, the thing that a lot of people forget is you stand at the altar and you're thinking, oh, this is so awesome. And you're all giggly and everybody's teary-eyed or crying. And you say, for better or for worse. And you mean it. I think that everybody that says it means it, to be perfectly honest. But what you have pictured in your head is nothing but happiness at that particular moment in time. Nobody thinks to themselves what the worse looks like until it happens. And then suddenly they start rethinking. So remembering why you got married, means remembering the commitment you made, and it means choosing each other every day or deciding, this is my person, whether they have bad breath, whether they really tick me off, it doesn't matter. Put it whether blank, blank, blank. Enter your own there, okay? For better or for worse means for better or for worse. So remember, worse is going to come. There's no way around it.
Right. And a lot of the times people will, come to us with their problems, and it's like, okay, but are you doing the same thing? So let me ask you this. Are you the same person that you were in your last marriage? Because if you are, you're going to have the same result.
It's very interesting, before we go on to the next point, it's very interesting how many people will complain about having the exact same problem in a marriage they had in the last marriage, and forgetting the fact that the only consistent part of that equation is them. So moving on to number 2, because she actually mentioned the kids.
Are we done?
I don't know.
Are
you done?
No, I'm not. Actually.
Oh, she's not done with number 1. Go ahead.
All I was going to say is, it is really important to be your personal best every single day, whether you're sick, whether you're lacking sleep, whether you're are we always our personal best every single day?
No.
Okay, yeah, there are a few days here and there.
Yeah.
But are they months and months and months? No, because we wouldn't still be happily married. We have had our challenges. We have had some really crappy things happen. Really, really crappy. But we're still standing together. So that's the next question. Are you and your spouse standing together, or are you on opposite sides of every single thing? Because let's be honest, opposites attract. Therefore, and because of which there's going to be some problems. But if you are against each other from going from both sides, one on this side, one on this side, on opposite spectrums, we'll say, of whatever the issue is, how is that helping your marriage?
Correct.
I'm done.
So moving into number 2. This is something we haven't actually talked about before.
Yeah.
Understanding why you're favoring your kids. Now, normally we talk about the one that favors. We don't talk to the one that's favoring.
So listen up.
So keep in mind, all right, the reason, it's not like we don't get why you're favoring your kids. Your kids, quite honestly, are part of the luggage that you brought from your last relationship. Now, in marriage, the whole point of marriage is you're a representation of Christ and the church, Christ and his bride. So when that marriage breaks, you feel that that's why there's such a weight that feels like something tragic has happened, and it has. So now you're bringing these kids who you swore to protect, and then you feel in the marriage breakup before that you weren't able to protect them like you should, right? And so you hold on a little tighter in this relationship to the point where you will exclude your spouse's kids and only adhere to your own. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. Although I understand why you're doing it. Maybe it's because the last spouse was hurtful. And now you're trying to protect your kids from a spouse you have not given the opportunity to prove they are not hurtful. You're making a choice for your spouse. You're going to hurt my kids. I have to protect them, right? Because my last whoever was hurtful to him. So you're bringing all of those emotions and everything from the last marriage, although you may think you're not. You're laying it over your kids and you're burdening them with it as well. You may not think so, but you're burdening your kids with how you feel about this because you're straining the marriage relationship excuse me, you're straining the marriage relationship in your attempt to protect them from something you can't prove they need protection from in the current relationship.
Yeah. Do you have guilt? Do you feel guilty for your marriage breaking up? Maybe you had an affair or a emotional affair or something like that. Are you holding guilt for the fact that you made a bad choice in the first spouse? Is that why you are favoring your kids? You're trying to make up for your mistakes. Please listen to me when I say that you cannot change any of the things that happened prior to. You can only change now, okay? So whether you made the mistake or you made the mistake in the wrong person, it doesn't matter. You're in this situation now, and now you're remarried. So we don't want to see you having another broken marriage because you're allowing the same bad cycles to continue. You know, a big thing on, like any of the social media, it's always, breaking generational curses. You started a generational curse by getting divorced, and it is. So how do you do your best to kind of not fix, but what am I trying to say?
Not bring your laundry from the last place. Hey, this isn't college. You don't get to bring your laundry to the next house. Okay. So is that what you're talking about, essentially?
I think so, yeah.
Well, this somewhat segues into point 3, actually. So for one, we're talking about blame and everything. We're not saying that you were to blame. Perhaps you were cheated on.
Yeah.
Perhaps your spouse just up and left one day. Perhaps you were the cheater. Perhaps you up and left one day. I mean, it doesn't, who did what doesn't change the guilt you may feel. Okay. My ex had a couple affairs on me. I was crushed. But there were things, I'll sit here and be the first to say, there were things I did wrong in my relationship. Cheating wasn't one of them.
Yeah.
Being unfaithful wasn't one of them. But that didn't change my guilt for what I may have done or not done. And I was angry. And sometimes we bring that anger in, and that anger can convey as guilt too. But that segues right into the third point, which is how this hits the security button with kids. All right. Because now your kids are looking at this. Let's say they don't like your spouse. Never seen that happen.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I see it all the time.
Just look through the comments and you'll see a lot of that.
Oh, yeah. You'll see a lot of hate in that area.
Ooh.
So you brought the kids in. Why are they not reacting or responding well to your spouse who may be putting in tremendous effort to gain their acceptance? Well, for one, I've heard a rule over the years that your kids won't accept your spouse as that particular position, your spouse or the stepdad or the stepmom, for half as much as they are old. It'll take that long. So if your kid is 14 when you're remarried, it's going to take at least 7 years for them to accept him in that role, which means it takes time. Okay, not to mention the fact that you've come from a broken relationship. Now you've entered the exact same type of relationship, and your kids are looking at you like you're crazy.
Yep.
They don't want to go through all that again. So they're simply not going to accept him. And as a result, they're going to put pressure on, or her. Sorry, I'm the dude.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to put undue pressure on your spouse. Your kids are going to put undue pressure on you. And before you know it, there's a big chasm between everybody, right? And you are not encouraging your kids to accept. Why do we push so much that the spouse has to come first? Because remember what I said in the beginning? Some things in marriage, remarriage or marriage, are the same. This is one of those. In your initial marriage, you promised to put that initial relationship first and foremost. Any relationship after it was subject. Now, just because you have kids now doesn't mean that changes. You want your kids to have great marriages, you show them what one looks like. You put that spouse on a pedestal, and then you treat your kids as you would have in your first marriage.
Right.
You are a family now. You're not this and step that. You're a family. Get rid of the step crap. It's petty. It doesn't work.
Well, and I mean, honestly, we never said step this and step that when we were raising our kids. We only do now to kind of help you understand that I had stepkids, and Yeah. But, you know, security is so important for children. Okay. And we're not talking about people that, you know, a new spouse that abuses their stepkids. We're not talking, this has zero to do with that. We're talking about the average people who love each other, who are trying to do the best for their kids. And if you had a step parent and you're watching this, you better hold up. You do not know how hard it is to parent somebody else's kids who has genes that you don't have and you don't understand. Okay? This guy taught me how to love his kids, honestly, by watching him love mine, who he then adopted. Okay? But I'm an only child. I had zero going into this. I struggled with other adults, honestly. I mean, I really like people, but I had some relational things that I had to learn as an adult because I didn't have other siblings that I could, you know, learn these things with. So there were things that happened that I didn't have a bad heart on it, but I definitely was a part of the problem, both in my first marriage and with his ex-wife. And I'm the first to say that, but that kind of, I took it way over here, but.
Okay, so this is the single biggest thing that we get flack about.
Yeah.
All right, that we get hate about, is this whole put your spouse first.
Yeah.
Okay. Go do a Google search. This is the statistics are out there to prove it. Now we do have an announcement about that.
Not yet.
Not yet.
We will die.
Do you have something else to say?
Maybe.
Okay, then say.
We will die on that hill. You absolutely have to. You have to put your spouse first, because 3 times, I think blended family marriage, you know, a remarriage is 3 times harder than the first marriage. I think that's the stats. Now, don't quote me on that. If you want to Google it and figure it out, that's fine. Put it below. But all I'm saying is it's a lot harder because there is so many variances that are not in a traditional family. Mom and dad, you know, husband and wife get married and then have kids and stay together. There are so many variables, and so many people have tried to tell us how we should be doing our marriage and our parenting and our blended family when they haven't even been divorced. So if you're that person, you just get out of here. No, I'm just kidding. But come on, be real here. You don't know. In fact, we were just talking to somebody earlier today. And she thought it was the same. And we were like, oh, no. Because the kids don't necessarily like the step-parent right off. They don't necessarily want to listen to the step-parent. I mean, there are a lot of things that make it more challenging. And you already know that if you're watching our page and you've been, you know, you subscribe to us and that sort of thing. But the security is so important for the kids. And I can't state that enough. You know, blended families have a lot of challenges, and, you know, this is just one of them. And so if you have more questions and comments, please leave those down below. If you've already watched most of the videos and you're like, okay, but what about this? Please leave your comments, leave your questions, and we'll make videos about those, because we're gonna, you know,
to the best of our ability.
Yeah. I mean,
we don't have limitless time.
No, but there are some scenarios that we won't speak on because we have not helped anyone with those challenges, and we haven't personally been there. So we're not going to speak on things that we don't know. Okay. But with that, you announce it. Yes.
You want me to announce it?
Yes.
Just a little caveat on something I said. Yeah, we always say put the spouse first. That doesn't mean lock the kids in a room. I don't know where people go way over here. We're not saying lock all the kids in a bedroom and ignore them.
No.
We're saying you put the spouse relationship before the kids. Okay? That doesn't mean they starve. That doesn't mean they don't get taken places. That doesn't mean they don't get clothes. That doesn't mean they live, you know, in a shack out in the back of the yard. Come on. What that means is put the spouse relationship first and then take care of your kids. That doesn't mean you can't fulfill any of your kids' needs.
Yeah, what we see happening a lot of the times is people will spend all their time and all their energy, and everything they do has to do with, it's focused on the kids. Okay. That's what we disagree with. And frankly, those of you who are running yourselves crazy, doing all of the kids' sports and dance and all of these things, and you have no time for your spouse, and you can't actually have time to like talk to each other, build your relationship, continue your relationship, you know, not to mention all the bedroom things that don't happen when people are so busy. Please limit your time. Limit your kids' activities. I know they want to be in all these things, but that's not life. That's not true life. And so what are you setting your kids up for in the future when they're bored because they have to be at home? I mean,
you're setting an unreal expectation for later in life.
Right. And you're actually going to influence their marriage in the future. If you're going to run your kids all over the place and do just that, and that's all you do, you never have date nights, you never sit down and talk to your spouse, you're going to have problems and divorce. And we can almost guarantee that for you. And so limit the amount of things that your kids do, because that's just pulling families apart, just regular families that are just mom and dad who had kids, or husband and wife who had kids. Being so busy is not good for people. You need time, you need space, you need nature, you need, you know, it takes a lot of time to bond as a blended family. And a lot of that, we just had a flicker.
Stormy.
Yeah. A lot of that for us came camping. There's no and at the time we didn't have the challenge of having cell phones. We did not have them until we had probably been married 7 or 8 years before we had cell phones. So that was the 90s. But yeah, we went on hikes. We went camping. We went to the lake. He took them fishing. I don't love fishing, but I'll go. We didn't do all the sports and dance and all this other stuff. We just didn't. That would not have helped our cause, and we couldn't afford it at the time either. And so our kids got to pick one thing. You know, we didn't have these outlandish birthday parties where you're spending $2,000. Like, that's craziness. Anyways, I'm in the weeds here.
All right, so we need to wrap this up. So what's our announcement? We are currently working on a book. It's going to be called Blended Family Momentum. And there's going to be a men's section, a women's section, and maybe an hours section. We haven't decided yet. But that will be coming out in the next few months. So if you want more, we'll put some more videos out. We fully intend on it. We're going to ramp this thing back up. I'm not sure what our schedule is going to be yet, but we're going to ramp it back up. So with that,
we thank you so very much for being here with us. We thank you for your comments, and we thank you. You know, there's a good contingency of you that just really are encouraging and all of that. You know, those of you who want to leave negative comments, go ahead. You know, we can't stop you, but please just understand that we're doing our best. We're not encouraging anything negative. So with that, but thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.